Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, as always, me and Magallon. And as always, President, Founder, CEO of Magallon Entertainment. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about real estate. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about this bitch-ass housing market. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about these bitch-ass real estate agents across the country who tried to tell me all summer that things weren't going to be that bad, that tried to tell me that real estate was going to be fine, that tried to tell me that things were going to be A-okay. And now they're working at fucking Foot Locker. Ladies and gentlemen, when I'm about to teach you some shit, when I'm about to educate you on shit, when I'm about to drop knowledge in this bitch, you should really pay attention. And get the pen and the pad, get the pen and the pad, get the pen and the motherfucking pads! And let us begin our lesson this evening. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about some phone calls that I received over the weekend. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about some of the things that I'm hearing and I'm seeing in the trenches, on the battlefield, in the war zone. That is the housing market today. That is the real estate market in America. I want to talk about what my whales are doing. I want to talk about what my mega whales are doing. I want to talk about what my clients are doing. I want to talk about what I am doing, and I want to talk about what the real estate agents are doing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. You're going to listen to a lot of different interviews. You're going to listen to a lot of different skits. You're going to listen to a lot of different analysts, and you are going to hear a lot of commentary from different people on different networks coming from different perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's clip is going to be jam-packed. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight it is really fucking important that you pay attention and that you fucking listen. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let the teaching session begin. So, 4 things that I really want to hit hard on tonight. I want to talk about sales prices of homes in America, medium sales prices. I want to talk about affordability for homes in America today in a higher mortgage rate environment than we find ourselves 12 months ago. I want to talk about units sold in America and how many units are being sold. I want to talk about inventory issues in America and what inventory looks like in different markets. I want to talk about what the home sellers are doing. I want to talk about what the home buyers are doing. I want to talk about what the entry-level community is feeling and doing. I want to talk about what real estate agents are doing. I want to talk about what real estate companies are doing. I want to talk about what real estate builders are doing. And most importantly, I want to talk about what asset managers who manage and own billions and trillions of dollars worth of real estate in America and around the world are thinking and doing. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress this enough. This is going to be a jam-packed, mega, monster fucking clip. And you guys need to pay attention to everything you guys hear tonight, because this might be the learning lesson of the fucking year. Pay attention. So, first things first. I heard a good, healthy debate. And I don't want to say this is bulls versus bears. I think most of these people you're about to listen to are pretty much bulls when it comes to real estate and housing and things of that nature. But one of the things that I found that I respected was the fact that all of these people are tracking, are monitoring, and are fully aware of what the Federal Reserve is doing, what the Federal Reserve is thinking, and what the Federal Reserve is planning. And yet, they still remain bulls. They're real estate bulls. But even though they listen to every single FOMC meeting, as do I, I've been listening to every FOMC meeting basically since last November, once they told us that, they're going to change the whole ball game and start raising interest rates in 2022. Ever since then, every FOMC meeting has been like the Super Bowl for the stock market and for every every asset class in the world. But they listen to the FOMC meetings. They listen to the Federal Reserve. They listen to Jay Powell. They listen to his Q&A sessions when different bank analysts and Wall Street analysts and economists, across the country and the world, around the world, get to ask him questions during the Q&A. So they listen to the entire Q&A debate. They listen to what the speech is. They read the minutes. They're tracking economic data like nobody else. I mean, this is their full-time profession here. And they are fully aware of what the downside, risks are, not just for the economy and not just for the stock market and not just for crypto markets, but also for the real estate, / housing markets. And they are more than fully aware of it. They are tracking it. They are monitoring it. And they are conscious of the fact that if the Federal Reserve goes too far, like Elon believes, Jeff Bezos believes, all the bears on Wall Street believe, yours truly, you guys know how I feel. I am a mega fucking bear when it comes to the economy, more specifically when it comes to the average American. Again, I'm not focused on Kim Kardashian. I'm not focused on LeBron James. I'm not focused on fucking Kanye West or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Donald Trump. I can give a fuck about any of these fucking pendejos because none of them are going to pay, my bills. None of them are going to pay, my for my groceries. None of them are going to pay, any of my debt. Like at the end of the day, them being rich and them staying rich has nothing to do with me. That's great. All the billionaires in America are still billionaires. But, for most Americans, I wouldn't focus on their pockets. I would focus on your own debt, your own income, your own finances, your own bills, your own debt to income ratio, which for the average American for the last 12 consecutive months has just been getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I think will continue to get worse and worse and worse and fucking worse. So again, as a reminder, nothing you guys hear tonight is going to change my perspective of, being a mega bear as it pertains to the average American, as it pertains to the average consumer, and as it pertains to, the average investor that at this point is just basically trying to hodl, hold on for dear life and pray to God every night that the Federal Reserve, ends up doing a pivot soon, because if not, their finances and their monthly income is going to continue to get worse. And a lot of small investors, a lot of new investors, and a lot of older investors are going to continue to, liquidate their accounts, liquidate their 401ks, empty their portfolios, and continue to sell more and more assets and investments they own in order to survive this higher, inflationary, higher interest rate, environment we find ourselves in a slowing economy, a down economy, and in a potential crashing economy. So, it's not just about things getting worse, but if things don't start picking up soon, quick, fast, and in a hurry, I think you're going to continue to see more people continue to liquidate and sell assets and investments that they've, purchased and owned and, have been holding on to for several years. And they're going to continue to be forced to liquidate and let go of those assets and investments because they're going to need the cash. And again, it's not just poor people. I think poor people pretty much were sold and were forced to surrender everything they had in the first half of 2022. I think in the second half of 2022 is when you saw lower middle class Americans start to take it on the chin and eventually take it in the ass. And, they were basically forced to liquidate. And now I think late 2022 and now here in early 2023, wave 5 of the recession, by my predictions, you're starting to see the middle class and upper middle class now, and the data continues to come in, but probably second half of 2022 and now here in the first couple months of 2023, you're starting to see a lot of people in the upper middle class and middle class. They're starting to sell, and they're starting to, cut back spending, and they're starting to cut back on vacations. They're starting to cut back on discretionary spending. They're starting to liquidate some of their, assets and investments, and they're starting to feel it on their side of the train tracks too. So when it comes to the average American, who's not a millionaire or a multimillionaire or a billionaire, if you're not LeBron James or Chef Curry or Kim Kardashian or Oprah Winfrey or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or, some other fucking pendejo out there sitting on millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars cash, then you're probably the 80% of Americans, who's starting to feel the economic downturn now. So that's what I'm bearish on. Just as a reminder, I am still mega bearish on the average American. And if you're not a millionaire, then chances are you've been getting hit for the last year and a half, and chances are you're going to continue to get hit throughout the rest of this year. And that is why every single podcast I always, start it and finish it the same way. If you guys are listening to me tonight across the country and around the world, I continue as a general of this podcast. I continue to beg you and plead with you and just fucking ask you to please, ladies and gentlemen, stop spending your fucking money on stupid fucking shit. But what do I also say? Some people are just meant to stay poor forever, and that's fine. So let's get into it. I want to start brick by brick, piece by piece, layer by layer, and then I want you guys to listen to what a lot of the real estate bulls and housing market bulls and analysts have to say about this market, because I think they all bring up really good points on why they're still bullish on the market at large, particularly the real estate market, and why they don't think there's any systemic risks of a crash anywhere near the likes of 2008, 2009 happening. And why I think they expect the markets to rebound in the future. Now, they're not saying the market's going to rebound tomorrow. They're not saying real estate prices are going to go back to all-time highs, next week or next month. They're not saying that, you know what I mean? They're not saying mortgage rates are going to go back to sub 3% tonight, But what they are saying is they don't see a seismic crash happening. And if anything, they just see it kind of flatlining for a few years, maybe a year and a half. And then after that, it's going to pick back up to the upside because supply-demand dynamics, are being artificially impacted by the Federal Reserve and what they're doing to the economy and interest rates. But it's still not having an impact on the supply side yet. And if anything, they're not really destroying demand. They're just postponing demand. And as more and more people continue to flood into the country, you're going to continue to see a pressure on demand to the upside. And until we start to figure out this supply issue in terms of the amount of homes being built in America, until we start to get that back on track, this supply demand dynamic is just going to be a shit show for many years to come. So they're going to bring up a lot of good points, and I'm going to agree with a lot of them. And I'm going to address some of the key points that they make. So you know what? Let's just start with it there. And then after that, I'll break down what I think about the average price of homes sold in America, where I think that's going, affordability in America, units being sold in America, my predictions on mortgage rates, and my prediction on the future of the housing market as it pertains to the average America. Trust me, rich people gonna be alright. So let's take a listen, and then I'll probably jump in here and there, and let's see what they have to say, because again, these guys are really fucking smart. They do their research. They do their homework. They listen to the Federal Reserve every single fucking day. They interview members of the Federal Reserve every single fucking day. And they're still really bullish. And I can understand why. Let's see what you guys think. Let's start.
We have a strong jobs market and rising wages, but we also have rising inflation, and that leads consumers to take on more debt. We've seen those numbers come in recently. Christina Partsinevelos has them for us. Hi, Christina.
Well, hi, Contessa. We often talk about the resilience of the consumer, especially after seeing them spend a record-breaking $11.3 billion just this past Monday on Cyber Monday. But if they seem to be sitting on all this excess savings, why are they tapping credit to pay for goods? Target CEO warning on a recent earnings call that, quote, many consumers this year have relied on borrowing. And household debt, for example, has grown to its fastest annual pace since the Great Recession in 2008, thanks to hefty increases in credit card usage and mortgage balances. Some consumers, though, they'll say, I don't like using the plastic. That's why buy now, pay later revenue has surged 88% from Black Friday through Cyber Monday compared to just a week ago. An installment method that doesn't necessarily cost you extra up front until you can't keep up with the payments. That's when you get hit with the hefty fees. And whether you believe the Fed will drive a soft or hard landing in the economy, these examples show there will be a much thinner cash cushion to buffer it, Tyler.
All right, Christina. Thanks very much, Christina.
All right, we'll stop there. And by the way, just as context, this interview, this little, kind of healthy debate that you guys are listening to right now, this was recorded about maybe a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. So it's not necessarily old data, but it's not, this morning type of breaking news information either. But I think the overarching thesis is what's really important to talk about. What she just mentioned there is 100% accurate. Over the holiday season, I think November, December, we started to get all of the reports about Black Friday and all of the Christmas, season shopping bullshit that was going on in America. And the stock market tried to rally, I want to say late November, early December last year. And the rally was based on the idea that consumers are still alive and well, consumer spending is still booming, and the economy is still thriving. And, the Fed is going to be able to land, this soft landing, so to speak. And then all of a sudden, halfway through December, we started to get the real economic data. And all of a sudden, the reports came out that, Black Friday, Cyber Monday had all of these spectacular, amazing sales. And, it's all rainbows and unicorns and it's all great. The consumer is strong, right? Quote unquote strong. But in the middle of December, we get all the reports from the credit card companies and all of the retail outlets, and they're like, no, not really. These bitches were using credit cards to buy everything on Amazon. And, as you guys know by now, all the retail companies, from Bed Bath & Beyond to Amazon to Walmart to Macy's to Target, there was a lot of heavy discounting being done during the holiday season, more than usual. And I think the reason behind that was, in my opinion, a lot of these retail CEOs, the CEO of Macy's, the CEO of Target, the CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond, the CEO of Dillard's, the CEO of Kohl's, the CEO of fucking Bean Chick GameStop, I think a lot of these CEOs listen to the Federal Reserve, and they understand that the Federal Reserve is not going to stop raising interest rates, and at the very least they're not going to pivot until the unemployment rate goes up in this country, which is something that they've been saying for months and months and months and months, that labor participation is still too low and the unemployment rate is still too low, and they still have more work to do when it comes to the labor market. And so I think a lot of these retail outlet CEOs, I think they're, smarter than the average person, and they realize that the consumer is going to continue to get pounded into the ground, by higher and higher interest rates and the slowing economy. And because of that, you're going to continue to see more layoffs, but particularly you're going to start to see more layoffs in high income fields, which means you're going to see a lot of people who are, high income earners at some of these tech companies, for example. Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all four of them laying people off left and right. And when that happens, those people are going to end up having to get a replacement job. But the problem is that replacement job's not going to pay them as much as their old job. So all of a sudden, you're going to see a lot of people in America going from 150,000, 200,000, 250,000, and they're going to start to get a new job that pays under, less than 100,000. And so I think a lot of these retail, CEOs, I think they've been aware of this for a long time. And I think the reason they started doing heavy discounting was because they knew that we need to take advantage of the consumer while they're still, stupid and dumb right now. and don't believe the Fed, and we need to get, we need to offload this inventory, and we need to offload as much inventory as possible, because if we do go into a recession, and again, every bank in America expects a recession this year, the real question is if it's a mild recession or a severe recession. But either way, any recession of any magnitude is probably going to hurt most of the target customers, most of the target consumers, for a lot of these retail outlets that rely on the consumer having discretionary spending and being able to have disposable income to spend on discretionary, goods. And so I think these retail CEOs knew, like, this economic downturn is just getting started. This is just the beginning. Next year is probably going to get a whole lot worse. And I don't want to be sitting on all this inventory. So I'd rather offload it now for a heavy discount and, just put everything on fucking clearance and sale. And I'd rather sell it now for, a small profit or no profit just to break even. I'd rather do that now than sit on dead inventory later when the consumer has nowhere near the, amount of disposable income that they have right now. You see my point? So I think that's why the last 2 weeks of December, you were starting to see the market kind of go down again going into the end of the year, because then all of a sudden people are like, oh, the consumer is really not as strong as they used to be. Oh, shit. I don't know. Credit card debt above $1 trillion for the first time in American history. I mean, credit card debt is at the highest level it's ever been in American history. So that right there, again, very, very bearish for the bears. We're definitely looking at credit card debt, and we're looking at discretionary spending habits and the levels of disposable income. Now, again, as it pertains to the real estate market, and I think I said this on the last clip for the frozen real estate market. What this really does is continue to hurt future potential homeowners and home buyers, because when people start jacking up their credit card debt and they start, skyrocketing delinquency rates, all of a sudden a lot of people's credit scores start to get destroyed. And when someone destroys their credit score by maxing out their credit cards, by spending money on stupid shit, and then they don't have the money to pay now, pay later type of bullshit, or buy now, pay later, all of a sudden all of these lines of credit ends up going into collections. And then when it goes into collections where credit scores go to die, now all of a sudden it's going to take them years to be able to get this off their credit and fix their credit and basically start new lines of credit with healthier credit scores. So this is really going to push a lot of people back that otherwise would have become a homeowner in 2023, 2024, and now it's going to push them back to probably 2025, 2026. So again, the future, it's not just the current demand for housing that's getting destroyed, but it's also the future demand of housing that is starting to get depleted and wiped away. Because again, as a lot of these Americans and consumers continue to stack up this credit card debt, it is just going to make it harder and harder for them to buy a home in the future, even when the Fed does pivot. Because even when the Fed does pivot and lower interest rates and lowers mortgage rates, these people still aren't going to be able to really qualify for a home loan the same way they used to, because now their credit score is 600 instead of 800. You know what I mean? And for those of you guys who are involved in real estate, you guys know the difference between 800 credit and 600 credit can be fucking gigantic when it comes to calculating your monthly payment. And you know what I mean? What kind of interest rate you're getting, what kind of mortgage rate you're getting on your home loan. So the difference between good and bad credit could be the difference sometimes between you buying a home and staying at home with your mom and dad forever. So let's continue.
Parts in Evelyn. Now, of course, one area where Americans do tend to take on a lot of debt is in their homes, and that debt has been climbing as mortgage rates rise and home prices stay elevated. So what would it take to get affordability back? Diana Olick has more. Hi, Di.
Hey, Ty. Yeah, the formerly red-hot housing market has cooled dramatically in just the last 4 months, but it's still super pricey. So we wanted to take a look at what it would take to get affordability back to where it was just a year ago. So the average rate on the 30-year fixed has been moving around between 6.5% and 7% over the last few weeks. It was around 3% a year ago. So let's compare home shopping at today's rate versus last year's rate. Take a $400,000 house, which is around the U.S. median. with a 20% down payment on a 30-year fixed mortgage and a rate of 3%, the monthly payment, including principal and interest, would be $1,349. A 7% rate bumps that up to $2,129, a 58% higher payment. So if we're going to keep the rate at 7%, the home price would have to drop 37% to $253,500 to get back to that lower first monthly payment. And much thanks to Black Knight for doing all this math for me. So it is highly unlikely that prices will drop that much. Realistically, it'll take adjustments across the board in prices, in interest rates, and in incomes to bring affordability back to those long-run averages. Ty?
Steve?
Well, that really sucks. That kind of addresses the issue of affordability in this country, in my opinion. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar with like mortgage rates and the impact that, higher mortgage rates can have on the monthly payment of your home, I'm just going to make it simple. The higher the mortgage rate is, the more you're going to pay for the same amount of home. So your mortgage payment would have been X amount for a $500,000 home, and she already did the math for you. I'm just giving you my own example. But you want a $500,000 home. When you get it at a sub 3% mortgage rate, your payment is small. But when you want a $500,000 home and you get it at 6%, 6.5%, or damn near 7% mortgage rate, your fucking monthly payment is fucking big as fuck. You see my point? So that's kind of just what they're, trying to reference. And I know all the real estate people already know this. This is for the people who are not involved in real estate that really needs to hear this. This is why a lot of entry-level home buyers have not only been priced out of the market for the last year and a half, but I think while they're going to continue to be priced out of the market. Because even if I'm wrong about my prediction on mortgage rates, and mortgage rates do not get to 8% or nowhere near damn 10% mortgage rates, which I'm still mega bearish on mortgage rates. I do think they get to 8 to maybe even 10%. But the reason I believe that, and to be fair, I said that when mortgage rates were 4%. I said they were going to 8%, and eventually 10%. But the reason I'm so bearish on it is because I think if the Fed really wants to destroy if they want to increase labor market participation and they want to destroy demand to the degree that they need to in order to get inflation to where they want it to be, I think that is not something they can accomplish unless they take mortgage rates that high, or unless they can get unemployment to skyrocket without having to increase mortgage rates. So basically it's one of the two, but I think raising the unemployment rate is a lot harder than raising mortgage rates. The unemployment rate, you just need companies to continue doing more layoffs nationwide, and I think you're going to continue to see that happening. But I think that really just hurts low-income Americans and I think middle-class Americans. But if you need demand destruction within the upper middle class and within the top 10% of Americans, I think the only way you can damage the top 10% of Americans and the upper middle class, I think the only way you can make them really feel it is you're going to have to destroy their most valuable assets. And for most rich people in America, their biggest assets are what? Their homes. So I think if you really want more demand destruction to get inflation to where they need it to be and to cause the amount of, demand destruction that they are basically screaming that they need to have, I think the only way they can accomplish this mission is by getting mortgage rates, above 8% and potentially hitting 10%. Now, again, if they can get the unemployment rate to skyrocket before that happens, then they probably don't need to take it that far. But I'm not sure they're going to be able to get the unemployment rate that high without taking mortgage rates to those kind of astronomical levels. So that's just kind of my opinion on that. But going back to affordability, I would argue that, and this is something I talk to a lot of my clients about and a lot of my VIPs and a lot of my investors, my argument also is, even if I'm wrong about mortgage rates and mortgage rates do not get to 8 or 10%, and let's just say they stay here at 6%, 5.5%, that's great, but that's still nowhere near sub 3%. And so I think even mortgage rates hovering above 6% or around 6%, I know a lot of people will say, well, historically, that's kind of been the average. Yeah. But for new home buyers, that's not the historical average. For new home buyers, like, this is like astronomical rates for them because they've never experienced, for a lot of young Americans and a lot of young adults, they, and first time home buyers or potential buyers, they've never experienced, those historical mortgage rates of, the 60s, 70s, and 80s when, back in the day, it used to be around 6, 7, 8%, right? Like, to them, this is like brand new. This is like unprecedented to them, right? So you got to understand who your target audience is here. So for me, I think above 6% for any prolonged period of time, I think that in and of itself is causing a shit ton of demand destruction. Now, again, some people would say it's actually not demand destruction. It's just demand postponement, because either way, these people still have to they have to find somewhere to live. And I would agree with that. My only pushback on that part of the argument is just because people need to move out of their parents' house and they need to find their own place to live doesn't necessarily mean they have to buy a home. They can just rent somewhere. You know what I mean? So I think, again, the people who are benefiting this, from this environment the most are honestly just people who are stacked with a lot of cash and have a lot of, lines of credit and lines of equity and a lot of assets and investments that, they can kind of cash out some so they can use the money to diversify their net worth. I think for a lot of high income individuals and for a lot of professional investors and even some institutional investors, I think they're the ones who are thriving in this environment because, now there's less people to compete with. They can take their time bidding on different properties. They can take their time looking at different properties and examining different properties. And they can take their time on the buy side now versus before. In a sub 3% mortgage environment, it was really hard to take your time and look around because every single time a home was put on the market on a Monday, Tuesday, half these fucking houses were sold by fucking Friday. You know what I mean? So, and we all remember those days where it was like 30, 40, 50 bids per property in a week. It's like, what the fuck is going on? It was shenanigans. But now I think for the haves and have-nots, shout out to my man Sherwin. I'm going to try to interview him next week or, whenever I get a chance and bring him back to the podcast so he can help me explain and elaborate on a lot of this. But I think for the people that have the money and the people who have the means, the people who are the haves, not the have-nots, I think this is a perfect environment for them because they can be a lot more patient now. They can be more disciplined now. They can be more intentional now. They can be more methodical now. And they can be more detailed now. So I think it really helps the people who have the means, who have the money, who have the cash, who have the patience, and who have the discipline, you know what I mean, that it takes to make, really smart, great financial investments, which for the most part is why most of them are millionaires to begin with. You know what I mean? So, but going back to the average American, going back to the entry-level buyers, I think they're just fucked. And I think they've been fucked for the last year and a half. And honestly, and I've said this too, I think I said this on the first part of this podcast, the frozen real estate market part 1 that I sent out last week. But I'll reiterate it. I think 2021 and even 2020 was still a shit show that really frustrated a lot of entry-level buyers. Because, yeah, right now they're priced out of the market. But even when they weren't priced out of the market, you guys have to remember one of the things that really frustrated a lot of first-time, home buyers was the fact that it felt like every time they found a home that they wanted to get, they had to, compete with like 30, 40 other fucking bids. And for a lot of average Americans that are renting right now and don't own their current home, therefore they can't roll the current equity onto the new property. For a lot of, renters out here, or a lot of people who live, in their parents' house or with their in-laws or with family members, they don't have $20,000, $30,000 cash saved up. They didn't have fucking tens of thousands of dollars in a savings account or a nest egg. For a lot of potential, first-time home buyers, in 2020, 2021, they didn't really have that much money to put on a down payment. They were just trying to move out of their parents' house, like I said, or move out of their apartment, or move out of their family's fucking garage. You know what I mean? So they didn't really have a big war chest to be able to compete with 30, 40 other people so they can get that home so they can finally have somewhere, for themselves to live in. So I think that caused a lot of buyer fatigue, as a lot of real estate agents will lament on, that sometimes a lot of people were just getting frustrated because they would put an offer on like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different properties in a year, and every single time it was rejection, 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 no, sorry, maybe next time. And I think that can cause a lot of anxiety. That can cause a lot of depression. That could cause a lot of frustration. That could cause a lot of fucking irritation. That could just piss a lot of people off when you're constantly being told no. And, a lot of real estate agents had to tell them, like, look, don't take this personal. This isn't about you. This is about your offer. And you just didn't make the most compelling offer from their perspective. That there were people that were willing to come in on better terms, or people that were willing to come in with, a bigger down payment, a more seismic payment. Because again, there was a lot of people who were just rolling over equity from one home and putting it onto a new home. And so they were basically able to put like $200,000-$300,000 down. How the fuck do you compete with that when you work, you and your wife work minimum wage jobs and all you have is like $1,300 as a down payment? How the fuck do you compete with $300,000? You guys see my point? So, and so I feel for a lot of those Americans, because I feel like, that really is the average American. The average American is not someone who owns a mansion in fucking Brentwood. The average American is not someone who lives in Bel Air. The average American doesn't own a penthouse suite in Manhattan. The average American doesn't own a fucking condo in Hawaii or Miami. They don't own a fucking, a piece of town square in Chicago. Like, the average American right now, specifically millennials and Gen Zs, they're just people that live with their parents, live with their in-laws, live with fucking, roommates. And you know what I mean? They still have a landlord, or they still have someone that, is above them in their living situation. And they're just trying to move out and get their own place, have their own privacy, have their own freedom, and somewhere that they can raise their own family in. And so when you're constantly competing with 30, 40 other bidders, for those of you guys who, found yourselves in that situation and are listening to me on my podcast tonight, 125,000 subscribers across the country and around the world, I fucking feel for you, because that just feels like it's fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? It just feels like it's fucking bullshit. So I can understand where you guys are coming from. And now you guys find yourself in an environment in 2022 where it's like, fuck, dude. Like, now, even if we try to come back in the housing market, now that there's less people bidding on all these houses, it doesn't even fucking matter, because we don't qualify for as much as we used to, because mortgage rates went up. So maybe in 2021, we used to qualify for a $600,000, $700,000 home loan. Now we only qualify for a $300,000, $400,000 home loan. Oh, and by the way, the main difference between 2021 and 2023 isn't just the fact that mortgage rates have fucking doubled. It's also the fact that our credit score is more fucked up, and we don't have any more cash and savings, because we needed that money to offset inflation. Because every time we go to the fucking Walmart with their bullshit ass everyday low prices, things are expensive as fuck. Eggs are more expensive, cereal's more expensive, bacon's more expensive, and then when it's not more expensive, it's fucking not available because there's fucking, supply chain shortages. So there's a lot of Americans that have been emptying their savings account all fucking year long in 2022, especially spring, summer, and fall 2022, to offset all these higher prices they see in the economy. Even though their paychecks aren't going up, the cost of goods and services is. And a lot of Americans basically emptied their entire savings account last year in 2022. So now, not only did mortgage rates fucking double and it feels like it's fucking tripled, but on top of that, they have no more money in savings, which means they no longer have a down payment for a home, and their credit score is all fucked up now compared to 2021, because now they've had to use credit cards more than ever before. So now when they try to come back in this current, real estate market, they're looking around like, bro, not only do we not qualify for 6, 7, 8, 900,000 like we used to, we only qualify for 300,000-400,000, if that. But on top of that, we got no money for a down payment, and our credit score is all jacked up. What the fuck? And on top of that, me and my wife are worried that we're going to either get laid off or we're going to get our hours cut back at work. Are you fucking serious right now, bro? Fuck, no chingues. And that really is fucking, that's a struggle right there. That's fucking depression right there. That's that fuck my life kind of fucking mindset right there. Cause that just fucking, just hearing that shit fucking, breaks people. It can easily break someone. So anyways, yeah, the whole affordability thing, I think a lot of people point this out, mostly bears, and I'm with them. I think this is the most unaffordable housing market in American history almost, like damn near. Like, I don't want to be too hyperbolic because I'm pretty sure there's going to be one historian or, you know what I mean, somebody that's going to come back and try to fact check me and say, well, technically, Miguel, back in 1955, the market was more unaffordable then than it is today. You know, there's always that one dumbass that wants to bring up the fucking 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. But what I'm saying is, for a lot of, again, young Americans, millennials, Gen Zs, people who are under the age of 40 and have only been working in the workforce for like 10, 15 years, right? For people who haven't really been in the job market or labor market for more than, 2 decades, right? For people who are like 45 and under, 40 and under, right? A lot of these young Americans, 25, 30, 35, 40, for a lot of these, people just trying to fucking move out and get a home and stop dealing with all the bullshit they deal with in their current, living environment, in their current situation. I think to them, this is very depressing, because they thought they had an opportunity to get a home in 2020, 2021, because they qualified for a jumbo fucking loan under, sub 3% mortgage rates. And now, like I said, it's not just the fact that mortgage rates have fucking skyrocketed relative to where they were. I know historically they're, not that high, but compared to where they were, relatively speaking, they fucking doubled, damn near tripled. But it's the fact that the average American is basically has nothing in savings, has nothing in their Roth IRA, has already emptied their portfolio, and now you're seeing the middle class and upper middle class starting to fucking take hardship withdrawals in their 401ks, take early withdrawals on their pensions, start to liquidate their 401ks. You know what I mean? Selling all the assets and investments, going to pawn shops. I tell you guys all the time, I live out here in Vegas, and every time I drive by the fucking pawn shops on the weekend, that parking lot be packed to the motherfucking max. Why? Because people have to sell all the stupid shit they bought during the pandemic because now they need the money again. So when I look at the average savings rate in America is fucking negative. Credit card debt is the highest level it's been in American history. Again, this is going to hurt a lot of potential buyers that would have been looking for a home, in 2023, 2024, and maybe even 2025. And now all of a sudden, because they're jacking up their credit limits and they're emptying their savings and they have no assets, no investments, they're stacking up student loans up the ass, you know what I mean? Because now it feels like it's impossible to be successful in America without a college degree. And now, especially as the labor market continues to get worse, now more and more people are going to feel like they have to go back to school and get a bachelor's degree, get a master's degree, get a motherfucking PhD. And that means people are going to, stay at home longer because they're going to have to go to school longer, which means they're going to have to pile up student debt longer. And now by the time they enter the fucking workforce, they're drowning in student loans, they're drowning in student debt, they're drowning in credit card debt, they're drowning in fucking auto loan debt because these auto loans are skyrocketing too. And you know what I mean? And they're just going to be praying and hoping that they find a decent job. But even if the job pays them a lot of money, by the time they're done paying taxes, by the time they're done paying their student loans, by the time they're done paying credit card debt, by the time they're done paying their fucking auto loan debt, I mean, fuck, you know what I mean? They better pray to God that inflation comes down by then, because they might not have enough money for food, even with a fucking master's degree. I mean, you gotta be fucking kidding me, America. So I look at that shit right there. And again, just continue to be bearish on not just the stock market, not just the economy at large, but specifically for the average American who's trying to, figure their life out in this economy at large. But affordability, guys, let me get back to that for a quick second. I think affordability is fucking dog shit. I think this is one of the most unaffordable housing markets in American history. I'm not saying it's the most unaffordable housing market, but I am saying it's really fucking bad. Last time I checked, I think the percentage was 42% of American income or household income is being used on shelter cost, something like that. Like it's about 42% of people's like household income or 42% of their monthly income is basically being spent on their mortgage / rent. You know what I mean? Like what the fuck? And again, I think that number is going to continue to go up. Because as you continue to see more and more layoffs happen in like the tech sector and people lose their job as a fucking, tech fucking engineer or analyst, and they end up having to take a lower paying job, or get a job somewhere with lower wages, well, then guess what that means? That means if they're making less money moving forward, then that means the money that they are making moving forward, a higher percentage of that is going towards, basically their shelter in place costs. You see what I'm saying? So for example, if your rent or your mortgage, whatever, is like $2,000 a month, but you make $4,000 a month, then 50% of your money is basically going to your shelter costs. But what happens when your rent/mortgage is $2,000 a month, but you only make $3,000 a month now? Now it's 75% of your income is going to that shit. You guys see my point? So I'm looking at these type of data points and I'm just like, man, the percentage of household income that is basically going to your shelter costs continues to skyrocket. And that's why, again, I think a lot of millennials and Gen Zs are going to force to stay at home longer and live at home longer. And, there was a time in America you would turn 18 and get the fuck out. Then all of a sudden it went to, well, no, go to college, stay here while you go to school, and you can move out when you're 21, 22, 23. But now I look around the economy and I see motherfuckers who are 28 and still live at home with mom and dad. I know motherfuckers who are 30 and live with their in-laws. Again, this is going to become more and more commonality. You're going to continue to see more and more people living at home longer and longer. And it's going to frustrate them. It's going to irritate them. It's going to piss them the fuck off. But you know what I mean? This is the new environment that they find themselves in, because mortgage rates, again, even if they don't get to 8 to 10% where I expect it to, even if they just hover around here for a couple of years, around 6-7%, maybe even down to 5.5%, that's still way more than it was at 3%, more than it was at 2.5%, and most importantly, their savings account is now negative. Their portfolios are now empty. They have no assets and investments. They have no 401k. They have nothing in a Roth IRA. And you know what I mean? Their credit card debt is through the motherfucking ceiling. So the consumer and the potential home buyers that we should be seeing in the marketplace are basically evaporating and disappearing left and right. And a lot of people that, again, should have been buying a home in 23, 24 are now probably going to get pushed back till 25, 26, maybe even 27, 28, 2027, 2028. Because again, when you fuck up your credit score, it's not easy to fix. It's going to take a couple of months to fucking rebalance that shit. And, that's only if everything works out for you and you have the financial discipline to make sure that you use your disposable income to improve your credit score, and you're not using your disposable income moving forward to buy stupid shit like blunts, hoes, and modelos. So, anyways, let's continue with the clip.
Thank you, Diana. Steve, let me turn back to you. And on a scale where 1 is cold and 10 is hot, where would you put the economy right now? And you can qualify it by saying it's a 6, but moving toward a 4. Where would you put it?
I think it's like a 5 going to a 6, Tyler. Exactly how I was going to answer it, even before you gave me leave to answer it that way. We had the hot retail sales report.
Right.
We had a stronger than expected jobs report. Some of the stress in the consumer that was just reported about does have my eye. I am watching that. There has been a boost in some of the credit card numbers that are out there. If Diana's going to get half of the 37% of decline in housing that she's talking about, I had Diane Swalk on that panel at the CFO Council the other day talk about a 20% decline in housing prices. That's going to create a feeling of being poor among consumers. That's going to matter. But right now, I feel like, the novel about waiting for Godot. Godot never arrives, and I'm kind of feeling more and more each day, like certainly we're pushing out the time that Godot arrives, but even some people now more and more saying, maybe there's not going to be a recession. It's a minority call, Tyler, but I'm hearing more of it.
The interesting thing when we're...
Pause there. Just on the recession front, and again, this is really important to me, and I think it should be really important to you. I don't think the economy is in a recession. I'll say it again. I don't think the economy is in a recession today. Let me say it one more fucking time to make sure all the bulls hear me. I do not think the U.S. economy is in a recession right now. I think it is headed for one. I think it's going to be in one in the second half of 2023. But the most important thing for me and the most important thing for you guys listening is that the average American has been in a motherfucking recession. And the way I look at it isn't just what the unemployment rate is. I look at what your savings account looks like. I look at what your credit card debt looks like. I look at what your retirement account looks like, if you even fucking have one. I look at what your Roth IRA looks like, if you even fucking have one. I look at what your portfolio looks like, if you haven't already sold everything. I look at how many assets and investments you own, if you own any at all. And I'm looking at how much money you make per month, how much money you made last quarter, how much money are you going to make this quarter. And again, you don't have to get laid off for you to have your entire financial circumstances get crushed. Even if you just get your job cut back at work. I have a lot of subscribers who email me in the mornings and telling me like they just got hit by the recession. And I'm like, what's happening? What happened this morning? And they said, well, I came into work and my supervisor said that, I'm not going to be full time anymore, that they're going to make everyone on the floor part time. And so that not only impacts how much money I make, but now I don't have any benefits for my wife and my family anymore. So now, I have to go out and figure out how I'm going to pay for their dental, how I'm going to pay for their health care, how I'm going to provide them with medical coverage. Because when a company announces that you're no longer full-time, you're part-time, it's not just your hours that get cut back. It's not just your income that gets cut back. It's also your benefits that get erased. And they're basically non-existent now because that's only for full-time employees. You guys see my point? So I think right there, that's just devastation for a family, especially when there's only one person who's working because, mom stays with the kids or, you know what I mean? Dad works under the table and mom works a job. And so, the family gets healthcare coverage through mom's job because dad works at a construction site and gets paid in cash. There's a lot of households where like only one person works or, maybe only one person works on paper. And in those situations, when that one person who's working in the household gets laid off or gets their hours cut back at work and now they're not full-time, they're part-time, that can just destroy that family's household, finances, their household, income, their household monthly budget. Because again, it's not just about the fact that they're making less money. It's about the fact that now they don't have any benefits for their wife and kids. So I would pay attention to shit like that. That shit is fucking devastating for a family. And again, what do I always say? It's not just about people getting laid off. It's about people losing their hours at work too. That right there in and of itself can destroy a family's fucking monthly budget. It can absolutely massacre it. So be on the lookout for that. It's not just about the job itself. It's about how many hours your bitch ass supervisor or your punk ass company is willing to give you. And I think you're going to continue to see a lot of companies either A, do more layoffs, or B, start to do more shift reductions. Because, for a lot of businesses, unfortunately, it's more cost efficient just to hire a bunch of part-time workers than it is to hire a few people to work full-time. Because when you give that employee full-time, work, you're also giving them full-time benefits. And for a business, unfortunately, the best decision for them moving forward is probably going to be to make sure everyone's part-time instead of full-time, so that way they can save, money on that side. It's a cost benefit to them. And again, I wish it didn't have to be this way, but what do I say on the podcast? I'm not here to tell you the way the world should be. I'm here to tell you the way the world motherfucking is and how you can make money in it. So be on the lookout for that. So anyways, let's continue.
Talking about consumers and whether there's pressure already on consumers feeling the pinch. Christina, you mentioned consumers using credit more often, but the real problem doesn't come until they don't keep up with their credit card payments. Is there any indication that is starting to happen with more frequency or more severity?
You mean in terms of delinquency rates, I would assume.
Exactly.
So I actually don't have that data just yet, especially encompassing the holiday season. But if we were to use the personal savings rate as maybe just a benchmark in terms of how much cash is left, the personal savings rate for Americans has dropped to the lowest levels since 2005. And these numbers are from October, so we still don't know, again, the holiday season. And that's what you're seeing. Just look at that drastic drop just over the last 2 years. And Even that, I know Steve just talked about, raising concerns because of credit card debt, but what about student loans, for example? We've had a holiday here in the United States for the past 3 years. If Biden's plan doesn't pass through, Capitol Hill, that means that a lot of younger people or middle-aged people, et cetera, are going to be hit with an extra slew of payments due in the very, very near term.
And Diana, what about home foreclosures? Because for me, and what we went through in 2007, 2008, 2009, it feels like yesterday, and it was so significant. Are we seeing anything to indicate that we could be bracing for an onslaught of foreclosures?
Absolutely not. And I am very, very certain in that, because this is a completely different type of housing market. You have the vast majority of borrowers in 30-year fixed mortgages that have been underwritten responsibly. Nothing like they were back in the last crash. Also, Steve talked about people feeling less wealthy if they were low, say, 20% of their home value. But I don't actually believe home prices could fall 20% just given the supply and demand issues in the market right now. But even if home prices were to drop by, say, 10%, and they haven't really fallen yet compared with a year ago, you still have prices up 40% just since the start of the pandemic, 40%. And you have a huge amount, trillions of dollars in home equity that borrowers are sitting on now. Even if they lost some of it, maybe they don't feel quite as wealthy, but they're in no kind of danger of going into foreclosure on these homes because they have responsibly underwritten mortgages that they can afford.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
All right, I want to stop right there. And at this point, where are we? About 55-minute mark. This is where I'm going to go to war with the Bulls. This is where I think the Bulls are stupid. This is where I think you guys are dumbasses. And this is where I think you guys are missing the big picture. So let's begin the ass whooping. And I'm sorry, there's no other way to do it. You guys are stupid. You guys are fucking dumb. You guys are all fucking dipshit morons. You guys have absolutely missed everything. And that's why you guys are struggling so much. Real estate does not have to come down 20, 30, 40, 50% for the real estate industry to crash. And what have I said on the podcast for the last 9 months? Real estate has already crashed. I'll say it again. Real estate has already crashed. I'll say it one more motherfucking time. Real estate has already fucking crashed. And then I already know what the Bulls are going to say. The fuck is he talking about? Real estate's only down like 10%. Shut the fuck up. The moment you say that, that's when I know you're dumb. That's when I know you're poor. And that's when I know you're a dumbass. The reason I say real estate has already crashed, even though real estate's only down 10% from the high. Okay, dipshit. The reason I say real estate has already crashed is because I think the crash in real estate is not going to happen in asset class. It's not going to happen with the buy side. It's not going to happen with the sell side. I don't think it happens with the asset class itself. I don't think the value of homes in America is going to crash 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, some stupid ass percent. I don't think it's going to come down as it did 2008, 2009. If it does, great, I'll be a buyer. But I don't think you're going to see that kind of destruction in the real estate market. So why do I keep saying on the podcast for 9 straight months that real estate has already crashed? Is because, attention all real estate agents, I'm referring to you. When I say real estate has already crashed, I'm not saying the price of homes has already crashed. I'm saying the amount of money, the amount of annual income that real estate brokers, real estate agents used to make compared to what they made in 2021, and I cross-reference that with 2022, that's where the crashes happen. Because I look at all these bitch-ass real estate agents in 2020, 2021 that wanted to jump in the real estate market and they wanted to pump out here on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And you guys were just like the same fucking... You guys are like the Dogecoin bitches, honestly. You guys remind me of the Shibu motherfuckers talking about Dogecoin's going to $1, Shibu's going to a penny, Bitcoin going to $1 million, the NFT's going to be worth 300 million, this and that. It feels like everyone was a pumper back then in hindsight. But the problem is, a lot of real estate agents, when I look at how much real estate agents made in 2021, and then I look at how much real estate agents made as a community in 2022, I think that's where the real 70% collapse happened. Because most of the agents I talk to, and you guys know I have over 800 real estate agents on my phone, most of the 800 real estate agents I talk to, most of them made anywhere between 30% less in 2022 compared to 2021. And some of them did, and they had the fucking cojones to admit this, most of them did tell me they're making about 60 to 70% less money in 2022 compared to 2021. And so when I keep saying on the podcast over and over and over and night after night and week after week and month after month that real estate is already crashed, real estate is already crashed, real estate is already crashed, bros, I'm not talking about the housing market. I'm not talking about the asset class. I'm not talking about value of homes in your real estate market. I'm talking about the real estate agents in your motherfucking market. I'm talking about your real estate broker. I'm talking about these real estate companies like Open Door and Zillow and Redfin. I mean, have you seen their stocks? Have you seen their company revenue? Have you seen their company profit? It's abysmal. It's fucking, it's evaporating. It's liquidating. It's disappearing before our fucking eyes. I mean, if mortgage rates even stay up to these levels for any prolonged period of time, you're going to start to see some corporate bankruptcies in the real estate market. You know, I already hear a lot of the bears coming out and saying that if things start, if the real estate market doesn't start to pick up again, and we don't start to see a boom, and the Fed doesn't pivot, if that doesn't happen, there's a lot of bears on Wall Street saying companies like Open Door and Zillow that love to flip houses for a living, some of these companies could be on the fucking brink of corporate bankruptcy. Especially a company like Open Door, because a lot of real estate agents tell me they don't like their bitch ass. So when I look at, and I'm not saying every real estate company is going to go into bankruptcy, but you're going to tell me that none of them are? Is there any real estate agent stupid enough to tell me that there won't be a single real estate company in America that doesn't go file for, for bankruptcy if mortgage rates even stay at these levels? Again, that's if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong and mortgage rates don't go up to 8-10%, but the consumer continues to die, then what the fuck? Even in that situation, even there, if mortgage rates just basically bounce between 5 and 7% and mortgage rates never go up to 8 or 10, but the consumer continues to get destroyed month over month, quarter over quarter, even in that environment, a lot of these little home flipping ass bitch ass companies like these Open Doors and these open pad or whatever the fuck they're called, Offer Pad, a lot of these bitch ass companies like that are just, corporate fucking flippers, a lot of them could be out of business soon. There's a lot of bears on Wall Street that are saying, you know what? Zillow probably won't go bankrupt soon. Zillow's a really big, powerful company. They're probably not going to go away. But you can't tell me Open Door won't. You can't tell me OfferPad won't. You can't tell me 1-800-sellmeyourhome.com won't. You can't tell me, Edgar and Jose's realestate.com agency won't. You see my point? You're going to see a lot of real estate businesses, small, medium, and large, and even some large corporations like an Open Door, which once upon a time is leading the digital revolution in real estate. Oh, we're the pioneers in innovation. We're going to digitalize the entire real estate industry. Ha ha ha, look at us. Fucking like, what, bro? And there's a lot of real estate agents I remember when their stock first came out on the market and debuted on the market, there was a lot of shit ton of real estate agents that were just talking shit about Open Door. A lot of real estate agents do not fuck with Open Door, OfferPad, 1-800-sell-me-your-pad. A lot of real estate agents just never like these companies because they just don't like their business model. Now their business model thrives under certain economic environments. Their business model, thrives in a certain economy. Their business does well in a certain environment, but this ain't it. This ain't the one, bro. This is the one they're trying to avoid. So there is a lot of Wall Street bears saying, yo, you're going to start to see more bankruptcies in the real estate market. And it's not just going to be small businesses, medium businesses, and a few large ones. ¿Sabes qué? It's going to be in some of these large corporations too. They ain't immune, bitch. And they're looking at a company like Open Door and they're like, damn, sheesh, that company is making no money right now. Like they're basically laying off everyone at the fucking company just so they can stay alive, because they're just burning cash nonstop now on fucking payroll and overhead, but they're not really flipping homes like they used to. And then you have companies like Zillow just fucking completely got rid of their whole iBuying fucking division. Oh, I wonder how many fucking real estate agents worked in that department. Laid off, working at Burger King now. So I'm just saying, America, I don't see, again, I can't stress this enough. I want to be bullish here. I do not see real estate falling 20, 30, 40, 50%, especially in big metropolitan cities, LA, New York, Chicago, Long Beach, Riverside, San Diego, San Francisco, San Fernando, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. Like, I do not see big ass markets that have a shit ton of millionaires and billionaires and future trillionaires. I don't see those real estate markets collapsing. There's too many rich people that are just on the sidelines with cash waiting for a discount. You know, so I don't see real estate collapsing. I really don't. And what did I say on Frozen Real Estate Market Part 1? I said, for those of you guys who are listening that don't own your own home yet, you live with your mom and dad, you still live with your parents, you live with your in-laws, you live with your tia, your tío, your titiri-tia, your titiri-tío, you live with fucking, you know, some bitch-ass roommates. If you're in that situation where you don't own your own home yet, newsflash, bitch, I don't think you're going to get that buying opportunity of a lifetime. I know everyone who's a millennial and Gen Z in America keeps watching all these bitch-ass YouTube videos talking about the real estate's going to crash, real estate going to crash, housing market's going to come down. All right, bro, even if it does, how the fuck are you going to get the home? How are you going to buy your first home? You got no money in savings. You got a fucked up credit score. You got credit card debt up the motherfucking ass. You got student loans that you can't pay back because you got a stupid ass degree that doesn't even teach you anything. You know what I mean? Like, again, college students left and right, you know, trying to go to all these fucking Ivy League schools like UCLA and USC. Congrats, bro, but you got a worthless degree. Too many college kids out here getting degrees and shit that doesn't even do anything, doesn't even fucking matter. Congrats, you got a degree in philosophy. Congrats, you got a degree in sociology. Congrats, you got a degree in who gives a fuck. You know what we need in this country? We need more nurses. We need more doctors. We need more engineers. We need more scientists. We need more fucking, you know what I mean, biologists. We need more anthropologists. We need more STEM majors in America. You know, we need more math teachers, English teacher, cybersecurity people, software engineers. We need people that actually create things, build things, make things better for the world. Not another fucking philosopher to tell me what things should be like. Get the fuck out of here with that. No one's hiring a philosopher right now for $100,000 a year. What the fuck? Everyone on Facebook's a fucking philosopher these days. You know, like, what are we doing? You know, and again, I'm not saying music is stupid, but, you know, do we really need more music teachers in this country? No, we need more engineers in this country. That's what the fuck we need. I'm sorry. You know? So you have all these people just stacking up fucking credit card debt. You know, now they can't pay their car payments on time. Now you're starting to see evictions in this country skyrocket. You're seeing repos in this country skyrocket. The average consumer savings account is fucking negative. You know, Robinhood is already telling us people are liquidating their stupid ass portfolios. I mean, the consumer is fucking struggling right now. Retail sales are collapsing left and right. People aren't paying back credit cards now. You're starting to see delinquency start to skyrocket. I mean, it is no good, no bueno. But don't worry. When real estate collapses 50%, you're going to get the discount and you're going to finally move out of your mom's home. How? You have no money for a down payment. You got fucked up credit. Mortgage rates are higher than ever before. You know, and now you're getting your hours cut back at work. And maybe some of you guys just lose your job at work. You know, because to be honest, some of you guys weren't even a good employee to begin with. They only put up with your bitch ass because sometimes, you know, it's hard to let people go when you feel like it's going to take a long time to replace them and train the new guy. But you know what I mean? Now that there's more people looking for work, which is what the Fed wants, now all of a sudden they don't necessarily need you as much as they once did. You see my point? So, which is actually a good thing for businesses that survive, that is. So anyways, that's my rant on that. For real estate agents, please miss me with the whole fucking, you know, oh, we're not going to get into 08, 09. This isn't a real estate crisis. The market's so much different now. You know, buyers have more equity than ever before. I'm not disagreeing with you guys, bro. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right. You're absolutely right. But what the fuck does that have to do with you? What the fuck does that have to do with your finances? What the fuck does that have to do with your bank account? What the fuck that got to do with your financial future? Because for real estate agents, it's not just about the price of the homes. It's about fucking how many homes are being sold. How many units are being sold. Great. The house is only down 10%, not 30%. But when I look at real estate agents across the country, your bank account, your annual income on commission checks is down 50, 60, 70, 80, 90%. You're seeing real estate agents nationwide not even renewing their real estate license, getting a job at fucking Taco Bell, Radio Shack, Panda Express, Food for Less. The fuck out of here. You know, working at fucking pinche Foot Locker and In-N-Out now. Like, bro, too many real estate agents out here were so mega bullish. Real estate strong, low inventories. It's not going to be that bad, General. General, it's not going to be that bad. Yeah, for the person that owns their home, it's not going to be that bad. They don't need to sell. And even if they do, they have a lot more equity than they did before the pandemic. Trust me, homeowners going to be okay. You know who's not? The bitch-ass real estate agent. Because they need economic activity. They need an environment where people are buying and selling, buying and selling. Instead, you got a frozen market where the buyers, it's not that they don't want to buy, they can't buy. Mortgage rates doubled, but it's not just that mortgage rates doubled, it's the fact that they got nothing left in savings. Credit card limits are getting tapped the fuck out. People are losing their job nationwide. People are getting their hours cut back at work. And now they can barely afford groceries. Because every fucking day on the news, oh, eggs cost more, bacon costs more, cereal costs more, oatmeal costs more, vegetables cost more, fruit costs more, going out to the restaurant costs more. Oh, and now, by the way, we don't got baby formula, not enough diapers, not enough baby wipes. Like, fuck, bro. It's like we have shortages of half the shit you need, and the other half of the shit is more expensive than what it used to be. But meanwhile, your paycheck is still small. So, the buyers are basically priced the fuck out. Are rich people still buying? Yeah, but it's not enough. It's not enough to carry the real estate market to a new all-time high. Rich people alone is not enough. They're doing their best. They're buying what they can. But to be honest, some rich people don't even want to buy right now. Want to know why? Because I talk to rich people. You want to know what they're saying? They're saying, General, I hope the real estate market collapses. I hope the real estate market crashes. I hope the Federal Reserve burns this motherfucker to the ground, because I'm ready in fucking 5 million cash. I'm fucking ready to buy nickels on the dollar. I'm ready to take advantage of a buying opportunity of a lifetime. I'm ready. Put me in the game, General. And I'm like, damn. Literally had a dude tell me he's sitting on 5 million cash, and he's waiting for the market to crash. Because he wants to take advantage of it. He's not buying right now. He's on the sidelines waiting. Like a fucking vicious animal. I'm telling you, these whales, these mega whales, they're fucking killers. But they're smart. They're patient. They're disciplined. They're dedicated. They're committed. They're a fucking whale and a mega whale for a fucking reason, America. So rich people is not enough to take the real estate market to a new all-time high. It's enough to stop the market from completely falling apart. But it's not enough right here, right now to take it to a new all-time high. And entry-level buyers continue to get murdered, slaughtered, and fucking massacred. And so I think if you're a real estate agent, that's great. You guys nailed it. The real estate market hasn't crashed yet. I still don't think it crashes, especially not in a big city like LA, New York, Chicago, London, Paris. I don't think these massive real estate markets with all these mega millionaires like bitch-ass Kim Kardashian and Kanye and LeBron James, I don't think they're going to collapse. There's just too many millionaires and billionaires right now in the country and around the world. There's people in the Middle East and places like China and places like Europe that are looking at the American real estate market. And if it does fall, they're ready to take advantage of that opportunity too. So it's not just American millionaires and billionaires. It's Middle Eastern millionaires and billionaires, Japanese, Chinese millionaires and billionaires. Everyone's waiting for the market to fucking collapse because they want to take advantage of a buying opportunity of a lifetime. Meanwhile, half of my subscribers are spending all their disposable income on what? Stupid fucking shit. Whatever. Meant to be poor forever, I guess. Keep working paycheck to paycheck. Keep going, guys. Keep going. So, real estate agents, America, look, I know there's 800 of you. You guys know I love you. I support you. I believe in entrepreneurs, but I feel like you guys missed the fucking forest from the trees. I really do. I really fucking do. You spent all last year telling me real estate's not going to collapse. The housing market's going to be okay. This isn't 2008, 2009 again. The market is completely different. Home buyers are stronger than ever. You are right. But when I look at your bank account, when I look at your portfolio, when I look at your net worth, when I look at your Roth IRA, if you even have one, when I look at your fucking savings account, all I see is fucking bloodbath, murder, massacre, demolition, destruction, depression, anxiety, sadness, despair. I'm just saying, America, too many real estate agents were so bullish on the real estate market that they focused too much on the real estate market and not enough on their own personal finances. And that's why real estate agents are leaving the real estate agent industry and getting a job at fucking Foot Locker. And then you have other companies like this, like Open Door and Zillow and OfferPad and Flip My Pad and 1-800-Sell-Me-Your-Pad. All these little, home flipping businesses, which real estate agents never loved to begin with. They hated these fuckers from the beginning, but they're starting to go fucking out of business. They're doing massive layoffs all across the fucking board. And then you have the big companies like Zillow. They're doing layoffs. They're laying off everyone in the fucking iBuying division. And then on top of that, you get Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, like Goldman Sachs, and they're laying off fucking people left and right in their real estate allocation departments. So again, I think the real estate industry is what's crashing. The real estate industry is what's collapsing. The real estate economy is getting fucking massacred. The buyers are going to be okay. The sellers are assed out, and the agents are getting slaughtered. I'm sorry. I hate to say it, but I'm not here to tell you the way the world should be. I'm here to tell you what's fucking happening in the streets, in the trenches, in the battlefield, on the war zone. The dead bodies don't belong to the home sellers. The dead bodies belong to the real estate agents. So that's all I got for that. Let's finish up this interview and then I'll end the clip. We're almost done.
Diana, when Steve mentioned, and I was there for the moment where Diane Swan said a 20% decline, how do you react to that? And it seems like that would be, that feels really dramatic and drastic to me. But as you point out, even a 10% decline, or even a 20% decline, only takes you back to like levels of 2020, right?
Exactly. We're still 10% higher on the Case-Shiller report in home prices from a year ago. Now, prices have been coming down month to month, but that's seasonal. They always come down in the fall because it's the slower time of the market. Right. Now, have they been coming down more than usual? Yes. But still, we're not seeing a dramatic drop, a crash like we did last time. Absolutely not.
And my guess is because there are so many borrowers, Diana or Steve, jump in here, who do have locked in fixed rate, low rate mortgages. They're not going to be rushing to put their house on the market because they know that the next house they're going to have to borrow at 6 or 7%. It's going to cost them more. So that's a supply constriction, right?
Right, and that just drops up prices because if supply remains low, that's...
Go ahead. Yeah, we got your point there, Di. Steve, jump in.
Well, one factor that may be out there is guys like the Blackstone Group, the REITs, may not be out there as better buyers because the financing world has changed for them. Mm-hmm. So we're not sure they're going to be able to buying additional assets. That may keep a cap on or limit what happens to the housing market here. I do want to make one point, though, Tyler, which is it's maybe much more simple than we're making it out to be. Look at one number, the 3.7% unemployment rate. The vast number of people have jobs and have income. And as long as that remains the case, the credit situation, the housing situation, those are going to be okay. If the jobs market deteriorates strongly, that's when you worry about these other things. But as long as Americans are employed, they're going to pay their debts and they're going to spend.
One note on Blackstone, though, they told me yesterday that, in fact, they are looking, part of the reason they were excited for this deal with Vici on taking the chair off the table in Las Vegas is because they look forward to redeploying that capital in rental units. They think that there's real growth there. So we'll wait and see whether that follows through. Diana, Steve, Christina, thank you very much.
All right. So 2 last points I really want to hit on. Let me start with what the Steve guy was talking about. He brought up a good point. He said maybe we're just making it more complicated than it needs to be. Maybe it's really simple. Maybe the entire real estate market, maybe the future of the entire housing market relies on one thing and one thing only: the unemployment market, the unemployment rate, the job numbers. If the unemployment rate skyrockets, which again baffles me why anyone's a bull in this environment, but if the unemployment skyrockets, which is literally what the Federal Reserve has told us for 12 straight motherfucking months, they need the unemployment rate to skyrocket. They want the unemployment rate at a minimum. Most Fed board members want it between 4.5 to 5%. Some Fed board members want it to 5.5%, which I think is outrageous. But, there's economic, there's economic arguments you can make for what the perfect unemployment rate is. Some economists believe the perfect unemployment rate is around 4.5. Others say it's 5.5. Others say 5.0, right? The problem is, every time in American history the Federal Reserve has tried to slightly increase the unemployment rate, they end up skyrocketing the motherfucking unemployment rate. So every time they try to get the unemployment rate from 3.5, 3.3, 3.6, 3.7, and they try to get it up to like 4.2, 4.25, 4.5, they end up sending that bitch to 6, 7, 8, 9%. Like, these motherfuckers suck at being able to increase the unemployment rate modestly. Fuck no. All they do is just cause savagery. They just cause a bloodbath everywhere. So, my opinion, along with every other bear on Wall Street, which at this point is fucking everyone, we believe they're just going to overdo it. They're going to do it with interest rates. They're going to overdo it with mortgage rates. They're going to do it with unemployment rate. They're going to overdo it with fucking everything. Quantitative tightening, liquidations. They're just going to overdo it. Especially considering the fact that everything they look at is outdated as fuck. All their data, all their inflation reports, all their CPI numbers are always 6 months backwards looking. They're just trying to land a plane blindfolded with one hand tied behind their back. I mean, this is complete fucking, this is fucking, this is basically a fuckery. What's happening in the economy by this Federal Reserve. It's a complete economic fuckery. It's a disaster. It's an apocalypse waiting to happen, in my opinion. So I think the unemployment rate is going to skyrocket way above their 5% target. I could easily see 6-7% unemployment rate. And I'm not saying it's going to get there and stay up there. When that happens, they're probably going to do an emergency pivot, an emergency rate cut. But the problem is, just like with rate hikes, even when they start to cut rates, it takes 6 to 12 months before you see the residual impacts of an interest rate hike or an interest rate cut. So even if they skyrocket the unemployment rate and a bunch of people lose their job in this country, it's not like they're going to do an interest rate cut and then everyone gets their job back the next week. It's going to take months, if not years, for this economy to recover from the economic disaster that bears like me predict is going to happen, because these motherfuckers they're really smart, but they do things in a stupid way. It's one of those situations where really smart people are making really stupid decisions. And I think the people who are going to get hurt the most are going to be the ones who depend on them the most, which is basically life in America. So with that being said, I think the unemployment rate will basically lead this housing market moving forward. If the unemployment rate skyrockets, then I no longer care about, they locked in their mortgage rate at sub 3% and they have all this equity. They don't need to sell, General. They don't need to sell. No, you do. Because it doesn't matter how cheap your mortgage is. It doesn't matter how cheap your mortgage rate, was when you locked it in. When you and your wife both lose your job, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. The idea of they don't need to sell because they have all this equity built up and they got a locked in low mortgage rate, that only matters when you and your wife are both working. When you and your wife both lose your job, and then, you have to go get a job at McDonald's or Foot Locker, and now it doesn't pay as much as your old jobs used to pay you. Now you're looking at it and you're like, okay, can we pay the mortgage, even though it is really cheap with a low mortgage rate? Can we pay that with our credit card bills, with our student loan bills, with our fucking, feeding the kids, the grocery bill? Can we pay for everything, or are we going to have to do dramatic cutbacks? And is one of the cutbacks going to be, let's cash out this fucking home we own and, take the equity that we still have, get the best offer we can, and then try to come back in the housing market later when the job market improves and we get our old jobs back. And I think there's going to be a lot, not everyone, don't get it twisted. Again, not saying it's going to be 08, 09 again, but there will be some people that are going to be forced to sell. Again, am I saying everyone in America who bought their homes in the last 2 years is going to get liquidated? No. But I believe some will. You ain't about to tell me, America, that not a single fucking person in the world that bought a house in 2020, 2021 won't be forced to sell if both them and their significant other lose their job and end up working at fucking Starbucks. I mean, I'm just saying, America. I'm not calling for an economic disaster. I'm not calling for a great financial crisis. I'm not calling for the end of the world. But what I am saying is most Americans are about to lose everything they ever had, everything they ever worked for, and everything they ever saved for. And some of them, it's because they have dumb money spending habits. And for others, it's because they don't understand the importance of saving and investing and stacking up assets and investments. All they want to do is spend money on the weekends, boats and hoes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the unemployment rate tells the truth. If that thing skyrockets, I expect average home prices to fall. And in that situation, you can see an uptick in the amount of houses being sold. Because that'll bring more supply onto the market. So units sold will go up, just the price of the homes will go down. But if the unemployment rate stays where it is and the Fed just continues to tighten and tighten until it breaks, then basically in the meantime, in between time, that could be the scenario where I can see the Fed saying, shit, the unemployment rate still won't fucking crack above 4%. Okay, watch this. Here's 8% mortgage rates. Oh, it still won't crack above 4%? Watch this. Here's 9% mortgage rates. Oh, it still won't crack above 4%? Watch this, motherfuckers. Here's 10 fucking percent mortgage rates. And I think they literally cannot stop doing this until they get it above 4. The problem is they're not going to be able to just put it above 4 and then it just not skyrocket. I think the more they continue to put pressure on this market, when it breaks, it's going to break to the upside. And one morning, you're just going to wake up and see the fucking unemployment rate around fucking 8-9% if they continue to go too far too fast, which I think they will. Again, they're trying to land a plane blindfolded with one hand tied behind the back. This is economic fuckery, a textbook definition of it. So, with that being said, if unemployment skyrockets, that's when I think you're going to see units start to uptick. And I think that's when you're going to start to see the price of the homes tick down a little bit more. But if it doesn't, then in that situation, the opposite. Units sold will continue to come down. The price of the homes, the average price of the home sold, will probably still be roughly steady, probably goes down still anyways. But I think that's actually a worse environment for real estate agents, because I think for the average real estate agent, I don't think you should be really focused on what the price is of the average home sold in your market. I think you should just be focused more on units sold, right? Because even if the average home comes down another 10, 20,000, I think for you, it's more about how many houses are you going to sell this year? Not so much about the average price of the home that you sold, right? Like I think right now for most real estate agents, they just need more activity. They need activity levels to pick up, because if not, then it's a shit show for them. And again, I think you're going to continue to see more layoffs in the real estate industry. And I think you're going to see more agents leave the real estate industry. And, I hope I hope their monthly finances can survive this. But other than that, that's all I got for you. If you're a Gen Z or a millennial, for the love of God, for the love of fucking God, please stop spending your money on dumb shit. Please stop spending your money on stupid shit. I know you guys all want to become a millionaire. I know all of you guys are hoping Bitcoin goes to the moon. I know all of you guys are trying your best to stack assets and investments. But, what do I always tell? I always tell this to a lot of my VIP subscribers. Even if Bitcoin goes to $1 million tomorrow, does it really matter if you don't own any? You guys see my point? Like, even if Bitcoin goes to 1 million and Tesla goes to like 1,000 and Ethereum goes to 100,000, even if everything fully recovers, 4 or 5 years from now and everything's rainbows and unicorns again, does it really matter if you don't own any assets or investments anymore? Doesn't really matter. You'll just stay poor and the rich people just got richer. And you're still working paycheck to paycheck, hands on your fucking knees, making someone else rich again. Then nothing really changed. You just went through all this bullshit and depression for nothing, and you have nothing to show for it on the other side. So, but I think for the average millennial and Gen Z listening to me tonight, I think for you, keep stocking, keep investing, keep your expenses low, stop spending money on stupid shit, don't go out on the weekends. I know everyone wants to live their best life. I know everyone wants to enjoy their life. I know everyone wants to have fun and do it for the gram. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to make you rich. I'm trying to keep you rich forever. You guys have to fucking calm down with this stupid fucking spending. Fix your credit score. Fix your debt to income ratio. Start saving up money for a down payment. Start buying assets. Start buying investments. Otherwise, you're going to live at your fucking mama's house forever. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for listening to the one, the only, the motherfucking general. And